and welcome back to Guided Reading, and this is lesson 26. Now, in the last lesson, there was a paragraph which we didn't use because it was another part of the story. So if you remember, Cole and the twins are in the village square. The people from the palace have come. They met the squirrel, who works with the people who are fighting against the king. So let's begin from that part. Cole's second wagon ride with Piog and Mika was a lot more comfortable than his first. Instead of being thrown in the back with boxes filled with tapestries and patchwork for Alfar, he sat at the front between the twins as they trotted through the streets of Firle Rhin. The unsure roads were packed with dried earth and brittle leaves swirled underfoot. This word brittle means that they can snap easily, because obviously with the fact that it's so dry and hot, the leaves are all dried out. There were ramshackle houses. Ramshackle, it means houses which look very old, like they're going to fall down, leaning shoulder to shoulder as if using their immediate neighbour for support. Cole thought if one were to give up and collapse, the whole town would fall like dominoes. They followed the looping road into the trees and up the steep mountainside. In the distance, the sun hung perfectly at the head of the street, and its umber rays streaked through the tall black trees on the mountain. Around them was plenty of space for fields and farms, if only something would grow. Remember, there is a drought because they don't have any magic, so the author keeps reminding us. Do you go to the palace every day? Is this your job? Cole had a million questions for Piog and Mika, and this was his last chance to ask them. He was beginning to feel sorry that he was leaving this extraordinary world so soon, but his family would be missing him. He'd been gone a whole day, after all. Our job is to take Mum's knitting and weaving to the palace. Then they give us the town's rations. Everything would be so much easier if we had our own magic back in the well. What do you think will happen when the king puts all the seals together? Asked Cole. Piog and Mika exchanged dark looks. So that's an interesting expression. So Cole asks the question, what do you think will happen when the king puts all the seals together? Asked Cole. And then Piog and Mika exchanged dark looks. Dunno, said Piog. He's been trying to get hold of them for as long as anyone can remember. It must be something really important if he's been looking for hundreds of years. Mika squealed. What if it makes him live forever? Shut up, Mika, said Piog. But he looked uncertain. No one can be immortal. An uncomfortable silence passed between the three of them, where seconds felt like minutes and the journey to the portal seemed unending. Finally Cole spoke. So, is that what you'll be doing today, delivering tapestries and blankets? The twins gave each other sideways glances. Sure, said Mika. Then she coughed. Cole, you've been inside the palace, right? What's it like? We Darians don't get to go inside. They make us wait at the gate. Cole told them everything he could remember, though it wasn't much. The grand gates, his afternoon tea with the king, and the teoquat fruit. And there's this big room in the middle with a ceiling, like stars and doors all around it, to different parts of the palace. It's unbelievably big. You could fit your cottage in it 100 times over. So, the first question I have for you is, find and copy a fronted adverbial from the extract below. So, you're going to press pause, you're going to read what's on screen, and you're going to look for the fronted adverbial and write that down. Okay, welcome back. I'm going to read this to you. They followed the looping road into the trees and up the steep mountainside. In the distance is a fronted adverbial. The sun hung perfectly at the head of the street, and its umber rays streaked through the tall black trees on the mountain. Around them was plenty of space for fields and farms, if only something would grow. So that's the only fronted adverbial there. So the next question is, what does exchanged dark looks tell us about how the twins are feeling? I'm going to reread this extract. "What do you think will happen when the king puts all the seals together?" asked Cole. Piog and Mika, those are the twins, exchanged dark looks. "Dunno," said Piog. "He's been trying to get hold of them all for as long as anyone can remember." Have a think about what exchanged dark looks means. Press pause and explain how that tells us how the twins are feeling. Okay, so this tells us that the twins think it would be a very bad idea if the king got the seals. A dark look, it means that you are frowning. You have got either a worried expression on your face, like something bad could happen. So if I were writing the answer, I would say this tells us the twins are worried about the king getting the seals back. Next question. Let's look at the top. You could fit your cottage in it 100 times over. Explain why this is a helpful phrase in describing the palace. Reread the extract that's on screen and then explain why this sentence that Cole uses is useful in that situation. Press pause. Okay, so this is very useful because it helps the twins to visualize how big the palace is compared to their cottage. So Cole, the twins have never been there, so he uses something familiar to them, their cottage, to help them visualize exactly how big it is because they know the size of their cottage. That's the end of today's guided reading lesson. Thank you for taking part, and I'll see you back for lesson 27.